Pledge of Allegiance, and will everybody please rise? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh my God, that's so cute to hear her. Roll call.
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Ken Boland. Commissioner Metcalf.
Present.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Halby.
Present.
Commissioner Duran.
Present.
Commissioner Bacon.
Present.
And Chairperson Verdugo London.
Here.
Sorry, got you in the water.
It's fine.
We have a quorum, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. First order of business, approval of the minutes from September 5th, 2018. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of September 5th, 2018, as printed and distributed.
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, minutes approved. All right, let's see. We've got some old business here. Let's go ahead and take care of that. First item on the list is Cool PZ 18-07-25, a preliminary plat submitted by Wood Environmental and Infrastructure Solutions on behalf of Coolidge Land LLC for Cross Creek Ranch 2 on 625 lot subdivision on a 161-acre parcel located at the southeast corner of State Route 87 and 287 and Skousen Road, legally described as follows. The northwest quarter of Section 17, Township 5 South, Range 8 east of the Gila and South River Base and Meridian, Pinal County, Arizona. Mr. Director.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. On this item, we actually had postponed it and actually tabled it to bring it back to you. And city staff said so we had time to meet with the applicant and engineers since that. The item was tabled on 9/5/18, and we've addressed all the staff. They've addressed all the staff concerns, and they'll make the necessary corrections prior to the final plat submittal. And staff right now at this point is recommending approval of this preliminary plat. And we've already worked out the applicants here, so if you have any questions of him, but he's very amicable on working on it, and we're glad he's looking at these developments to carry him forward. Thank you. So I think you'll have a public hearing, and then after this, close it, and then take some action. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? At this point, any questions?
Not currently.
All right. We will open the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak about this issue, please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and direct all your questions or concerns to the commission. Turn the sound up. Let me talk closer. How about that? Okay, we'll try here. So we are opening it up to the public at this point on this issue. If you'd like to speak on it, please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and then address your questions or concerns to the commission. This is the Cool PZ 18-07-25 regarding Cross Creek Ranch 2. So it doesn't look like anyone wants to speak on it. Very good. So I'll go ahead and close that to the public. And I will entertain a motion at this time.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve Cool PZ 1807-25 as submitted.
I would second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. And that takes care of old business. All right, so this issue is in regards to, sorry, new business. So we've got on the docket today, Cool PZ 18-08-28 CUP, a conditional use permit submitted by am I pronouncing that wrong? Sorry. Corporation for a group home located at 808 West Baldwin Loop in Coolidge, Arizona, APN 204-37-1770. Can someone please correct me on that corporation name? Kiowala. I apologize for that. Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Director, can you tell me about it, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we have an application for a group home in Landmark, and we've sent notices to all the people within a certain distance. I think it's 300 feet, so they're aware. And there are some conditions that this would have to go through. Tim has, Mr. Hansen has gone through and looked at the requirements for parking and the the size of the house and everything. So I know that in his staff report, he's stated what the limit is on the number of people that can be there according to everything that applies to this. And I believe, Tim, it's a total of 3 persons that are clients and 1 caretaker. Is that correct? Okay. Based on that criteria, we have we can only make a recommendation on whether it meets that legal standard of it, but as a commission, you have to decide whether or not it's the right fit for the neighborhood. So at this point, we have the different findings and the recommendations that they have: 3 residents, 1 staff member. The exterior landscaping has to be maintained. The applicant must get a business license and comply with all licensing requirements set forth by the Arizona Department of Health Services. Tim, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Director Lopez, I don't think so.
So we're here to answer any questions you may have once you open it up. Public hearing.
I guess maybe I have some things for clarification.
Okay.
The request came in, and I spoke with the applicants before they did this, and we looked at whether it was allowed here, and it is. Conditional use permit. Their group homes are allowed in any residential neighborhood by conditional use permit. It comes kind of goes back to fair housing standards and laws. But the city can put, conditions on the site to minimize impact. So originally they wanted to and submitted for a 5-bed facility. And then in reviewing it further and after talking with the attorneys and looking at the code, group homes require an on-site parking spot for each person there and each staff member. Within the Landmark Ranch subdivision, it's pretty typical subdivision, 45-ish wide lots. There's 2-car garage. There's 2 spots in the driveway, so giving a total of 4. So the 5-bed request would have required 6 spots, but we can still allow and be in compliance with code allowing a 3-bed facility with a staff member. And that's put into the resolution that we've brought before you and has been through our legal staff. The applicants are here tonight if you guys have questions for them specifically.
Tim, are there any other group homes in the area?
None registered with AZ, Arizona Department of Health Services. There is a requirement that they have a 1,200-foot separation distance between group homes, so we searched a database that Department of Health Services has online, and if they're here, they're not licensed. So no licensed facilities that we're aware of.
And do we know the type of group home? Does that
They are
make a difference?
proposing to serve adults 18 years and older with depression or schizoaffective disorder. They will, manage medication assistance and training, hygiene training, show them how to prepare healthy meals and preparation, get some general health and exercise in, socializing, some counseling, transportation to doctor's appointments, coordination with care managers, and stress management, coping skills, redirection, just kind of general behavioral therapy. I am not an expert on these, but the applicants have ran these.
Right, we're in a discussion right now. I will invite you to the podium. Give me just
So
a moment. Thank you.
The applicants, I understand, have done other group homes, so they're familiar with these, and they can give you a better idea of the workings and goings on and what they provide. I'm reading straight from the narrative.
Okay, yeah. And let me go back to the question. Did you say that there are no group homes like this in the city of Coolidge that are registered? Or there are some, but not like this one?
There are none that show up on the Department of Health Services inventory
Got it.
within the city of Coolidge.
Then I am to assume that you could operate a facility like this without being registered? Okay.
You can do a lot of things without
Okay,
being
got it.
licensed, but
Not legally.
Not legally, okay. Okay.
to operate them legally in Coolidge, they require a conditional use permit and licensing through the State Department of Health Services, which has their own whole set of rules. They do inspections for compliance and safety and all that. It's all handled at the state level. We don't enforce the state licensing, only that they are licensed by the state.
Mhm. I'd like to invite the applicants to the podium. Please state your name and your address.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Kehinde Lawal, and I live at the address, my address or the proposed address?
Your address.
My address.
Yes.
I live at 2161 West Cameron Boulevard, Coolidge, Arizona.
Do any of you have any questions for them?
Ma'am, how long have you operated facilities like this?
I have in total over 20 years experience. I have 5 group home in Virginia. I ran it for almost 15 years until I met my husband and married him, and he relocated me here.
And in that time, operation in the state of Arizona, have there been any ongoing investigations or complaints with the state regarding the operations of your group homes?
No. I currently have a home in Florence, and I have no complaints.
And the folks that live in your facility, are they wards of the state?
No, no.
You're not. Okay.
If you give me a minute, I explain the program.
Would you please?
Yes.
Thank
First, I
you.
want to thank everybody for coming, because I like to also let the audience know that I'm also a resident of Coolidge. I have several properties here because I believe in the progress and I have faith in Coolidge. That is a great city. When we relocated about 6 years ago, we chose this place. So I'm also vested here. So anything that I'm not just an outsider who wants to come and do business here, I live here. This is my home, and I have several other investment properties here. This goes to attest to how much I respect Coolidge and I believe in it. My program is geared towards adults with mental health challenges. We are not a halfway house. We are not a group home that take a drug addict and all that. We take individual like you and I, who at one point in their life can no longer manage their mental health. These are functioning people, society, doctors, lawyers who have jobs and everything. But at one point in time, something break down. No longer, the center cannot hold, things fall apart. So they have financed them in the hospital. And before, I'm a therapeutic home level 2. When adults with mental health issue, when they stop taking medication, they think they feel better, and things start falling apart, they find that they're sent back in the hospital. Before they are released to go home or to go back to their respective places, they come to a place like mine, where we nurture, we counsel, we train them with medication, we assist them so that they can go back. A lot of them do go back. We only have like between 30 to 90 days for each member to be able to come, to get healed. They can't just release them from the hospital and then just go back to society. So they come to us, we assist them with, most importantly, the medication management. I want us to know that every one of us have that underlying mental. We are just one catastrophe issue to the other before the mental health is developed. I want to remind you, a very popular artist that I love so much just came out that she was having bipolar disorder. And she's functioning, which is Mariah Carey. She's doing so well. So, but people think that when you have a group home, it's going to be drug addict, sex offender that's going to come live. I put a lot of into my group home. It's beautiful because I want the people to come in to feel dignified and be respected. Just because they are going through some challenges, they don't have to stay in some hole in the wall. That's why I look for a nice community. I live down the road. It's my home. So we take care of them. We do counseling. We provide therapeutic counseling, and we also take them to all doctor's appointments. We make sure that they attend, and after 30 or 90 days, they are released to go back home. This is what we do. So I welcome anyone who has some concern, which some concern are genuine, and I appreciate that, to give me opportunity to put their mind at rest. And also, this particular home are female, grandmas, aunties. So the threat to the neighborhood is zero. But I can answer any question that anyone can.
I have a question. So it's only for females, or is it co-ed?
It could be co-ed.
It will
but
be
for
co-ed.
me, since I already have another home, I'm proposing to make this female. Yeah, and most of the time, even my other home, I will have 1 male, 4 female. Female ratio is always higher. Yeah.
Ma'am, a question I have for you is, are your caretakers, are they certified?
Yes, they are certified
They're licensed through
behavioral
the
health.
state?
Yes, by the state. And I'm also licensed by the Department of Mental Health. I have to go through, I have to be incorporated, I have to be registered, we have to go through background check, we have to do fingerprint, we have first class fingerprint, they have to have certification, first aid, CPR, everything. We are legitimate. And the state come unannounced, or they come once a year to come and recertify us, and we have to meet all these standards before we can renew our certificate. It's only good for 12 months. So if things happen and you are not doing good, they can revoke the license. Yeah.
Do your clients get to have visitors come in, or is this strictly just them? How does the visiting situation work?
It's like their home. If they have a family member who would like to come and visit them, but most of the visitation we have, they usually come to take them out to lunch or to spend some days with them. They don't usually stay in their home because it will not be private because of other members who are there.
Do your clients bring their own vehicles, or they are not allowed to have vehicles?
No.
Oh, I don't understand.
No,
Okay,
no.
so going
We-
back to the how
yeah,
many
yeah.
vehicle parking
That's-
spots,
yeah.
that was my
I
concern.
was hoping to address that.
Okay.
They are not allowed to bring vehicle. Even if they drive, they don't. The license is not operable while they are with us.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's why we provide transportation to doctor's appointment, to the community outing integration, and we provide appointment to the counseling section.
Wanted to understand the parking situation. That's
Yeah,
why
that's why I
asked.
was
Okay.
worried that they don't have cars. They don't bring
Okay.
cars.
And you said you needed one parking spot per client and per caregiver?
That's what code says.
And
Given none of them have cars, I don't know that makes a lot of sense, but I,
They don't have cars.
No, I was just wondering
Yeah.
about that with the visitation. So we didn't want to have,
maybe that's why it's in there for visitation, but it sounds like they don't stay much
they don't stay
anyway.
very long, and if they don't bring their own vehicles, then it sounds like it.
It's
Maybe-
usually off-site when they come.
Maybe this is something, the code that should be looked at, but
Is it our code?
it is our zoning code,
But it is,
specifically to group homes, and we can look at it, but tonight, that's the
Right.
restriction that is in the code.
it could be a situation where the applicant, like the female portion of it, she wants to keep it all female, but is not required to.
Got it.
So then, yeah, they don't bring cars, but maybe they could. And maybe if somebody in the future, they decide to do that. So the code's probably looked at a lot of different things, but we can review it. But right now, it says it stands, so.
I'd like to review it.
If you'll come to the podium, sir, and state your name.
I'm Wahid Lawal. My address is 2161 West Cameron Boulevard, Coolidge. The parking lot, the members that are here, they are not allowed to bring vehicle or bike or motorcycle. Not allowed.
Okay.
So that's what I want to say.
Okay. Anyone have any more questions for them directly? Okay, so I'd like to go ahead and open it up to the public. If you'll please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and please direct all your comments and questions to the commission. And if you have direct questions for the applicants, we will redirect that to them. But, go ahead,
Hello.
sir. Hi.
My name is Adam Ledesma. I live on 810 West Baldwin Loop to the proposed group home. I'm right next door to it. I'm speaking on behalf of our community, Landmark Ranch. I know they want to speak also, but they asked me to come up here and speak, and I want to come up here and speak because I do have concerns about this group home because I have kids that are very young, and those are my concerns. We have a park across the street, and it just kind of concerns me. And before I start with my own concerns, I kind of wanted to go over this, the Landmark Ranch CCNRs, because the CCNRs state that, I'm going to read you the rules here for Landmark CCNRs, use restrictions, sections 3-01, restriction use. Except as provided in section 3-02 of this declaration, a lot shall be used only by a single family and only for single family residential use. All construction on any lot shall be restricted to single family houses and related improvements. Section 3.02, business and related uses. No lot or detached dwelling unit shall be allowed to be used or authorized to be used in any way directly or indirectly for any business, commercial use, manufacturing, industrial, vending, or similar purpose. However, declarant and or its agents, successors, or assigns may use the property for any of the foregoing use as may be required, convenient or incidental to the construction and sale of the single-family resident and related improvement on covered lots. The foregoing restriction shall not be deemed to prevent an owner from conducting his or her personal affairs on the lot detached dwelling unit for business purposes which, number one, utilize a minimum or a minimal portion of the detached dwelling unit. Number two, do not result in the use of the detached dwelling unit for business, meetings, or appointments. Number three, do not result in shipping or receiving from or to the detached dwelling unit. And number four, do not otherwise violate local zoning and useful laws. This is what our community wanted to bring up because this Koala Corporation is considered a business. And from what I read, it's considered a behavioral residential health facility. And that's what's within the CCNRs of Landmark Ranch. I understand that this couple, I've met them and spoke to them, and I believe that they do want to help people, and I understand that. My concern is when you say that you guarantee the safety, I think that nobody can guarantee the safety. That's kind of, to me, it's kind of like me trying to guarantee the safety of my kids when they go outside, but I can't guarantee that. You know, I have to keep an eye on them. I have to be there to nurture them, raise them, and care for them and watch over them. And bringing these individual people into this house does concern me. I know that they need help. I mean, all of us have been there and need help. I understand that. But I think it would be better suited in a facility and not in a home in a residential neighborhood. And so for someone to guarantee me that the safety is going to be guaranteed, I think that's impossible because you have, however, and many individuals that are going to be living in this house that have mental health illness problems that have to take medication and it has to be administered to them. What's to say that they don't take that medication? What's to say that they have an issue and it's an issue that cannot be controlled within the house and it falls out into the street? You know, I was already talking to my wife because I'm like, okay, if this is allowed, we're going to have to change things. You know, we're going to have to walk our kids to the bus now. If I go hunting, I'm going to have to make sure that I put my guns within my vehicle in the garage and not just walk outside of the neighborhood anymore with them because I want to make sure that somebody with mental health illnesses, if they see me loading up my weapons in my vehicle, if they decide to say, hey, you know what, I want to do something to myself and I know my neighbor has a gun, I don't want them to try to come over to my house and try to use those weapons, even though I have them locked in a safe. Those are just my concerns. I know that the city of Phoenix, I've sent articles to the city of Coolidge, and I know that the city of Phoenix has certain rules and regulations for group homes. They have to be licensed. They have to have somebody on staff 24 hours in the home, are some of the things that I read. I know that the city of Prescott also made some very strong rules and regulations for group homes. And some of these articles I found online, I didn't bring them with me, but those are just my concerns, basically for my kids and the safety of my kids. And I understand that people do need help. They do need to seek medical help, and but I don't believe that it should be in a residential community. I don't think it should be in a single family like the rules state. You know, it shouldn't be within a residential community, I don't think. I think there's a place for that type of help, you know, and you see like a place that went up in Florence on Adamsville where they take people in like that so that they can receive the help, but it's away from other homes. It's the old Florence Hospital. And so I think that this type of situation would be better suited in that type of environment and not in a community where there's kids, where there's a park across the street. That's just my concern that I have in these rules. So,
Thank you, Adam. Regarding the rules that he stated, do we have to take those into consideration? Is there an HOA that is, I mean, what's going on in that neighborhood? And who enforces those?
Madam Chair, Landmark Ranch does not have a homeowners association. The CC&Rs, they do have CC&Rs. They apply to every lot. You buy a house, you agree to the CC&Rs. Kind of like the HOA rules. But the city maintains the open space there as opposed to an HOA. I do not know the city's obligation in enforcing private CC&Rs.
And it might be possible that individuals, depending on how they're written, individual residents within that community can enforce those CC&Rs, can take legal action against a lot owner that isn't complying with them. So I know in a lot of CC&Rs, but not being an attorney, I'm not giving legal advice. I'm
Correct.
just stating what I know all the years I've been on.
I just don't know if we need to take those into consideration as a commission. That's what I don't understand. And are these questions better suited for an attorney? I don't know.
I think you can listen to all the comments and then try to gauge
Okay.
whether, the citizens feel
Got it.
it belongs or not. So.
Hello, please state
Hi.
your name and your address.
My name is Tina Hussein, and my address that I live at physically is 1603 South 7th Street, but I do own a second house in Landmark Ranch. Do you want the address?
Yeah, if that's helpful, so I can see where you are.
Oh, the second house is 1413 South 7th Street. It's basically across from the wash, so it's like general access to the park.
Got it, okay.
So I'm just wanting to say, because the gentleman was saying, we're not an HOA, and whether or not we're governed by the city, or if you can enforce it, and about the homeowners. But I think a lot of us here are from Landmark, and that's what we're here for today. And not only that, the property values. It's going to really decrease the people that are going to want to look at our houses, should we put them up for sale. So, Do any of you guys live in Landmark Ranch?
I do.
You do? And your thoughts?
I have none.
Okay, so let's go ahead and if we're going to make comments, we need to come to the podium.
Hi, my name's Shelley Fullerton. I live at 709 West Spruill Avenue. I am beyond the boundary that they sent notification to. I think the whole neighborhood should have, since it is a planned neighborhood, and I believe there are CC&Rs that travel in the title work with our properties. And I'm concerned in how anyone could purchase a home without that title work being researched. So we're saying there was an HOA, and when the downturn in the economy, the HOA kind of dissolved. But it's still, as far as we're concerned, we have a quorum of a board that is speaking up for the Landmark Ranch community.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, my name's Joe Hazelton,
Hello, Joe.
and I live at 1403 South Baldwin Loop. And I'll just come out and say it. I'm against this. I don't want it in my neighborhood. We moved in there 5 years ago. It was a nice community. We saw, in fact, it was 5 years ago this month when we noticed the property and decided to buy it. Kids were playing in the field. Everyone was happy. We said, you know what? This is what we want. and this is where we're at. My stepdaughter has a house catty corner. She's unable to be here because she works at the Casa Grande Hospital. And my significant other, she's unable to be here because she has to take care of one of the grandchildren. And again, the kids are out there in the field all the time playing. This is a business. They're going to sugarcoat everything there is. These licenses that these individuals have to go through is a joke. And yes, I do have experience in dealing with mental health. All right. In my profession, I was assigned to a behavioral mental health unit. Okay, and that's where I work. You can come up with some success stories. I can tell you about 3 of them right now, but the majority of them, yeah, I don't want that in my neighborhood. Like I said, I've personally dealt with that, and I just don't feel safe. My grandkids don't feel safe. My girl don't feel safe, and everyone right here is from that community. So, yeah, I'm just against it. I'll just come right out and say it. Yeah, don't want it.
Thank you, Joe.
My name's Renee Holloway, and I live at 708 West Baldwin Loop. I commend what they're trying to do because I have family members that suffer from mental illness. Some of them are paranoid schizophrenics, and I get it. They do need help, but I'm with Adam. I believe that it needs to be done in a different type facility. The only reason I say that from my own personal experience is because when a paranoid schizophrenic goes off medication, it can be very ugly. Very, very ugly. They don't know any better. They really don't. They take the medication, they feel better for a while, and then they go off of it because they feel better. And then when they go off of it, all the paranoia, everything sets back in. And then they think everybody and their brother is trying to poison them, kill them. They feel they're in danger, so they're only reacting based on how they feel. And I get that because, as I said, I have a family member that suffers from it. Okay? I've seen the ups and downs, and it can be very, very difficult. With mania, you know, they have hallucinations and stuff like that. You cannot monitor somebody 24/7 and make sure that they're taking the medication the way that they need to in a residential type setting like that. I believe that it needs to be in more of a, I've seen assisted living places where it's geared to make it look more like it's your own home. So it's definitely a more comfortable setting, but it's a facility. It's not in a residential neighborhood. It's a facility. And I just think that that's where that kind of thing needs to be. Because I have grandchildren. They come over to visit. I have one that lives with me. And I have nothing against people with mental illness. I don't, because I live with it. But when they're in a state, they're not in control of their actions, and they can't make rational decisions. And how do you know that they're not going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else by not really knowing better and not being in control of their own facility, you know, their own faculties, not being in control? So that's my concern. I mean, I would love to see them get help, and I commend you for doing that, because so many people overlook people with mental illness. And I'm glad that you're reaching out to help. But it just doesn't need to be in a residential. It's not that. I mean, like I said, I have a personal, it's my father, if you really want to know. My father has suffered with paranoid schizophrenia forever. Okay? But I've seen what it does. You know what I mean? When they're off medication. You know, it's not that I don't want it in my neighborhood. I just think it needs to be done in a facility. My dad was done in a mental hospital. He was there multiple times to get help until he was able to function a little bit better. And if it wasn't for my mother, he would be going off his medication. But my mom's on top of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a little personal to me. And I've seen what can happen. You know? I love my dad to pieces, but I know if he goes off medication, he's not my dad. He's not the same person. Okay?
Right. Thank you, Renee.
It's me again. You're going to hate me.
No, I'm not going to.
Just real quick, one
Yes,
thing.
sir.
The reason I kept stuttering, which is funny because I'm almost a full-time instructor. However, and again, like she was saying, I'm not against anyone getting help. All right, I am part of a Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. All right, I am a combat vet, and I know about mental health. As a matter of fact, the good news is the 22 has gone down to 20. We are actively involved in a group home type environment that we're trying to get set up here in the county. It's not in a residential area. It's out in a rural area where they can be, it's out of the way. Okay, it's not in a little single family dwelling type neighborhood. And that's something that we took into consideration when we started putting this together. So I'm not against people getting help. I'm all about it. However, there's places for that, and there's places that don't need to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just
That's
thought
fine.
of something I just wanted to bring up. First off, I am an original homeowner. I bought my house and had it built. The second one was my father's that he had built, and then we inherited when he passed. I don't know how many people here are original.
If you'll talk in the microphone and then go ahead and address us. Yes.
We had an incident many, many years ago, mental health related, and I just didn't know if everybody remembered it, but it just kind of hits home as far as having those issues in the community. We had someone driving erratically, coming back to the community, robbed a bank, ring a bell. But that was another issue with mental health. And it's one of those things that...
Were they in a facility like this one?
No, they lived in our community, but they came back to where they knew, what they knew, which was the home. And that's the concern is you have all these kids, what if they're coming back? You're saying about adjusting, they're saying about medication adjustment or dosage. Isn't that kind of toying with the medication as well? Isn't that kind of seeing what is the least amount that will work on that person, you know, and then isn't that kind of like toying with the person to see what can they, the least amount they can take and get away with and still function?
I couldn't answer any of the medical questions. I'm sure that would
Do
be
you
for
guys
their
have any additional, do they
mental
have
health
stuff
physician.
to back up what they've said? The Florence community, who's there, what the statistics are, anything like that?
We
for
have what was
Virginia?
presented to us. Did you do any research like
I never
that
got
about
any
Florence?
information. I'm not within that 300 block.
Oh, I
I
see.
just found out.
Got it.
So, is there somewhere that we can get that? The additional community?
I don't know.
'Cause I'm late
Director, is
coming,
there
that's why.
any information that they could research regarding their Florence
Was there
facility?
anything put up or anything?
I don't have any information on that. Maybe Town of Florence, if they went through them, or county. Licensed facilities are all cataloged on Department of Health Services. They have a website with listing. I think there's a complaint log.
If you'll come to the podium, ma'am, we can't address you unless you come to the podium. If you come to the podium. No.
My name is Stan Barker. I live at 706 West Baldwin Loop. My first thought or note on this is that Baldwin Loop is not a cul-de-sac, but it could almost be compared to a cul-de-sac because of the way it's constructed. We're all kind of like in an enclosed neighborhood. And so, in my mind, that puts us at a little bit more risk than it would just going down a straight street. Secondly, the thought that hits me is that I don't see any possible way that anybody running a group home or otherwise can guarantee that the people in there will not have a mental break at some point. And if so, then it's going to affect and spill out into the neighborhood, and it's a closed-in neighborhood with little children. So that's a concern for me. And it's not just little children, it's old people too. So I'm very much against this. I wish them the best, and I appreciate what they're trying to do, but I do not think this is the location for it. I don't think they can guarantee the safety of the neighborhood, and if something happens, who's going to be responsible? Them and the city council or commission? I mean, that's what it'll boil down to. So that has to be considered, and that has ramifications. I'm very much against it, and so I believe everyone here in the neighborhood's against it. I've not heard anybody from the neighborhood say I'm for it, and there's good reason for that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
I just wanted to know if the Magma Ranch is the Florence facility you're speaking of?
I don't know that answer.
Or is there actually a business office located in Florence?
Again, I don't know. We could certainly ask the owners if you'll come to the podium.
Another concern I have is our homeowners insurance. Could it be a liability that way for the homeowner?
Again, you would have to take that up with your agent. That's nothing that we would unfortunately be able to answer for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Would you come to the podium for just a moment so I could ask you that question? Is your facility in Magma Ranch?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you.
I believe that the enemy of humanity is the fear of the unknown. I've seen a lot of people coming because of the fear of the unknown. Our home is 24 hours monitor license with professional at all time. Everybody takes their medication because it's administered and we monitor them. That is a part of the process. And they talk about members, they will never be alone. Someone is always at the home 24 hours. And we've never, in my 15 years, that people get into the community doing anything. What they are missing this is that have a group home or a home that people just live individually, freely to come and go. This is a therapeutic home, monitored and guided for 24 hours.
Thank you. Now, one more question. Are these individuals anyone that have committed crimes or that are under investigation or that are registered sex offenders or anything of that nature?
First of all, in my admission criteria, I don't take drug abuse, I don't take sex offenders. The only crime they may have committed is because they have mental challenge. And there's a law that allows individual to live in a community as a human being. Back in the days, in the 1910 and 20, people with mental health, they take them into the woods. It's no longer they have the right as a human being to live peacefully in a community.
One more question. Do you own this property?
Yes, I own 4 properties in Coolidge.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Susan Barker, 706 West Baldwin Loop. We're in the other end of the cul-de-sac, and traffic is quite a problem. Can you hear me?
Just barely.
Okay.
Pull it a little closer.
Traffic is a problem. In our cul-de-sac, as people come and go, if you have visitors, they're parking in the street. I have a concern that she said people come and go about every 3 months. And so you're constantly getting a turnover of people who you don't know who they are. I have a concern with the co-ed. That sounds very dangerous to me. If you have people with mental disabilities, safety of women, safety of men, It doesn't sound like a very good idea. And also, we have a son with visual disabilities, who has to ride the Cotton Express bus. Years ago, he worked for a Goodwill, and they had a great program where they'd bring in kids or people who are on community service to work off their hours at Goodwill. And because of some of his disabilities, people like that would extremely take advantage of him and try to talk him into things. And he's quite innocent and kind. And that's his transportation to go to work to Walmart. And it sounds like these people would have to ride a bus or something to go to different places, so I have concern for his safety as well. We moved here a year ago, and we love the community. The neighbors are wonderful, but I do have a lot of concerns about who's there and the constant turnover. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I do think that you said, one more question for you, is that your clients are transported by your facility to doctor's appointments or etc. They don't go anywhere on their own?
We provide transportation.
And you provide the transportation.
And transportation are licensed with a 1 million minimum liability, vehicle, everything inspected.
Thank you.
This is not a quack group home.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Jesse Abraham. I live at 710 West Baldwin Loop. I just want to be real quick. Obviously, I have a concern with mental health people. Well, not mental health people, but the group home being brought in and bringing in multiple people with mental health issues into our community. As we drove here, matter of fact, there was 2 football teams having their flag football practice as we drove here. So I coach a lot of soccer, t-ball, flag football, and I just hate to put my kids on my team, the community at risk that way. Also, I have 4 children that have been decent. And I hate to put them at risk as well. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I wonder how many registered sex offenders are there.
There's one that lives in that neighborhood.
One.
I'm back.
Hi.
Question for you to redirect.
Yes, thank you.
When they are being transported someplace, who was with the rest of the people in the home? In other words, is there any time that the people in the home will be left alone? I don't know the answer to that.
Right, thank you. I will gladly ask that. That's a good question. Ma'am, if you'll come to the podium. So can you explain to us how that works when someone needs to go, to the podium, please. When someone needs to be transported, etc., wherever, it doesn't matter. Obviously, that one person will go. So is there a driver that takes them, not necessarily the person that is scheduled to work in the house? How does that all work?
The behavioral technician who is at the home during their shift is responsible for monitoring and to take them to wherever they want. We do have a schedule. We have a doctor's appointment. We have community. We have counseling. So we are always doing everything in groups.
So it's always together?
Yes.
So if we're saying you've got 3 clients in there, the 3 would go to the doctor's appointment all together.
Yes, ma'am. There is no long time.
Etc.
Yeah,
So
there is no
no
long
one
time.
is left in the home? They all go together.
And I myself, I will walk in this home because it's the closest one to my house because I live in the neighborhood. So I myself will be there 24 hours. If anybody, it's my home too. If anybody want to talk to me, I can even open the home. They are welcome to come and see the house. Yeah, I have nothing to hide.
So just one more. So as I understand, there's one registered sex offender that lives in this neighborhood. Does that affect your application, or when you go to the state, does any of that have anything to do with, obviously it's not your person, it's not a person that is with you or a client of yours. I'm just stating that there's a registered sex offender in this neighborhood currently. Does that matter when you apply or anything? Does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Brandy Robinson. I live at 715 West Sproul Avenue. It's actually around the block from the loop. My question is, the 1-to-3 ratio, if those 3 mentally impaired persons decide to gang up on this one person that's there, and I'm not saying it will happen, I'm just saying it's a possibility. What are the protocols for that? What if that person doesn't have the assistance they need? Do they have like a security system? Are they behind locked doors when they are in the facility or at the house? Are they, I mean, when they're sleeping, is somebody working graveyard shift and awake at all hours of the night, making sure that they're actually sleeping and not sneaking around? Are there people monitoring if there are relations going on in the house, how that affects things, that kind of situation? I guess that's my question.
Okay, I will ask. Thank you.
Brandy, have you ever worked at one of these facilities?
If you'll come to the podium to answer.
I've worked with children from domestic violence cases in a group home setting that was made to look like a home, and it felt very homey. And I actually worked the graveyard shift for almost 3.5 years. I don't know how it works with adults because they do have a little more leeway there being adults and they have their rights. Kids under the age of 18 kind of all have to do it for them. But we did work with some children who had schizophrenia and mental stabilities, and it's hard on the community itself. They were still in the community, but they had homes built for them within the community, not within a development of already established community. So I'm a little worried. And we had gates that were locked. We had to be buzzed in. There were cameras everywhere. They were monitored 24/7. So I'm just a little concerned how that would work with adults.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you take us through a scenario like a graveyard shift? What does that look like in your facility?
Our license stipulates there has to be adult, 21 and older, with trainers, behavioral tech, BHT, to work in the home 24 hours. Our graveyard shift, they announce there's no sleep. They are not sleeping. The graveyard shift is you are there to monitor and to be alert. It's an awake.
Can you give us, walk us through what the security is like at a facility like this, or what would it be like in this facility on Baldwin Loop?
We are a residential facility, a home-like setting, not a prison yard, because people have mental challenges. Does not require them to be on lock and chains. So our home, just a security measure that any homeowner would like, maybe to protect your property from burglar, that's all we have.
And what is the protocol if, let's say, you had the 3 clients in some way overpower the one person that's working?
That's not possible.
Correct,
for the 3
but what
clients.
if it did happen?
We have 24 hours crisis, and the number is posted boldly everywhere to call crisis. And we also have the police. If anybody even try to leave in the middle of the night or without permission, we immediately call police. Not because they're dangerous to the community, but because the community may be dangerous to them.
Correct.
And we have to keep account of our members at all times.
And again, these clients of yours are not in any way have committed crimes, are a danger to the community. They're not coming out of a prison or out of a jail or any type of incarceration.
No,
facility.
they are facilities for those acute mentally ill individuals. And they go to level 1 facilities. So we are not.
And you said you're a level 2 facility, correct?
Yeah. We are a step down for those who just need assistance in managing their medication, getting counseling. Most of who we have are severely depressed. Don't want to get up in the morning, just sit down, don't do anything. We just have to encourage them to take a shower, to even eat. Those are the most of the members that we have. But because we measure the word mental health, everybody thinks that people are working with guns and axe in their hands. I understand the community concern. That's why I thank you guys for giving me opportunity to explain what we do and who we are. I'm still open to any more question until you say it's okay.
So I understand that in Magma Ranch, that is also a planned community, correct?
Yes.
Correct. And your home is in a planned community
Been there
with
for 3
neighbors
years.
and children and older folks, and just everyone lives there.
No problem.
And you've been there how long now?
Been there, was licensed 2015.
15.
I'm still there. My husband walks night there every night.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir, if you'll come to the podium.
The state requires us to have an alarm on the door. When they open the door, it buzz, it alerts someone that is in the back.
Okay.
The gate on the side is always locked, so nobody can go out. And we do 8 counts, lunch, breakfast. The people that we have, sometimes they don't want to get off the bed. You've seen them at Walmart, you don't know, because they shop by themselves, they are alert, they make their grocery list, they do their laundry list, and they cook their own food. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Can I go sit down?
Yeah, please, thank you.
I noticed when the question was asked a minute ago about them ganging up on the person watching them, that this lady thought it was funny and started laughing. And I find that quite offensive simply because she has no guarantee. She may have experience, but no guarantee that that can't happen. If there's a mental break due to whatever reason, things can happen, and nobody can guarantee against such a thing. So I wish we hadn't gone that route, but that's a concern, and I think that's what everybody is trying to express here.
Thank you.
I apologize if my chuckle concerns you or is a form of disrespect. I don't mean to disrespect you, sir. The reason why I chuckled was that I have over 20 years experience. It may not be a guarantee, but experience does count, so that I've never seen that happen. I put myself there, my children, I have a son who is a medical doctor, he's an anesthesiologist. He works for me for many years. I put my children, I have a daughter who's also work on my staff until she go to ASU to continue her education. So I put myself, my husband, I spend the time there. So from that experience is why it sounds a little bit funny that that doesn't happen. But I sincerely apologize, sir.
Thank you.
My question that I have is, you said that the gate is locked, the back gate, the
If you'll,
gate by
sir,
in
if
the
you'll,
back.
if you'll
So,
address.
I mean, I
us.
share the wall with their house, and I understand that the gate is locked, but that's not going to stop an individual from jumping over a 5-foot, 6-foot wall. The wall that I share with them is only 6 foot. So, I mean, you can lock the gate, but that doesn't stop an individual from jumping the wall. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people needing help. You know, I understand that. But I mean, even the police aren't going to be there like that. If an individual decides to leave, because to me it sounds like, okay, you're making the home very homey for the individuals. It's going to be home-like to them. and they're put there for 30 to 90 days. Am I correct? In your
Yes,
in
that's
your
what she
facility,
said,
30 to
sir.
90 days. Okay, so these people can freely leave if they want, right?
Sir, you'll need to address us.
That they can freely leave if they want. They're placed in this home for 30 to 90 days, but what's to say they decide they don't want to be there no more? That they can take off. Who's going to give that individual person a ride out of the community? Are they going to wait for someone to pick them up? These are all my concerns. You know, even when their family come and visit them, that means that they can leave with them. You know, there's a reason why they were put into this home and not with with their family. You know, so if they take off with their family, my concern is that family going to set them off? Are they going to set some type of emotional trigger in them? Those are my concerns, because I understand that mental illness, yes, back in the days, I've read articles of people not dealing with mental illness people the right way. And today I've seen strives in the mental health community where people are being helped. And this is not a shaming thing. We're not trying to shame you guys for what you're trying to do, because obviously you do want to help people get better. But to me, safety comes first, and especially the safety of my children. And that is the most important thing. I have a 2-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 16-year-old that reside within my house. And I understand that these people are going to live next door to me, and I understand that they need help, and I don't have a problem with them receiving help. My problem is it's being done in the community, whether it's Landmark, whether it's Heartland, whether it's Carter Ranch, whether it's Elizabeth Ranch. I don't think any type of behavioral residential facility should be in any community in Coolidge or in Arizona. It should be in a mental health facility setting. And I'm not going to harm them. We're not going to harm them. But if they come into your yard and they're not right, what do you expect us to do? Are we not allowed to defend ourselves? You know, I don't want to harm anybody. I just want my family to be safe. I want people to get help. Don't get me wrong, I do. And I know that you guys have that heart. You guys have been doing it, like you said, for 15 years. And I believe that that is your heart to help people. But I don't think it should be in a residential setting. And those are my concerns, you know, just from listening as we're going on with this conversation in this meeting is, you know, who's to stop them from jumping the gate? Who's to say that the cops are going to arrive on time? Who's to say that when their families come and pick them up that they're not going to be triggered by something and set them off? And now they're trying to fight this individual to take them back to that home, and maybe that individual doesn't want to go back now. So then the cops have to be called? And what if that happens when I'm outside with my kids? You know, these are just scenarios. I understand they're just scenarios, but they're scenarios that can happen. I mean, cops become police officers, and they have one of the most dangerous jobs within our community, and yet they can't guarantee our safety all the time. They can't even guarantee their own safety. They take this job willingly and knowingly that they know that something can happen. I think one of the most dangerous calls for a police officer is domestic violence. And they have to go to these houses and deal with a domestic violence issue, which is very, very dangerous. So that's, I mean, if somebody within this home decided to not cooperate and they become they get into an argument with the counselor, which is licensed, as you guys say, right? This counselor is licensed.
She has said that they would be licensed, yes.
Right, they would be licensed. But who's to say that they do not get into a domestic dispute, and that domestic dispute gets out of hand where they have to call the police? Now the police have to go to that house, and everything that I've ever read about a domestic dispute, a domestic violence dispute, is always dangerous for the police officer. I got friends that are police officers for Pinal County. that tell me that that's one of the most dangerous calls that they have to go to.
Adam,
Those are just my concerns.
Right, correct. And that could happen in
Anywhere.
your other neighbor's house. It could
Of
happen
course.
in your house. I
Of
mean, it
course.
sounds to me like you have protocols, you have guns in your house.
And I have
you
safety
to have-
protocols for them.
Exactly, and it sounds like she's made that point. And I do appreciate you talking. Thank you,
All right,
Adam.
thank you.
I would just like to add that a lot of this genuine concern that I'm hearing this evening is based out of the fear of the unknown. We know the statistic when we drive in our car. We know we can turn the next corner and we can get hit. But yet that does not prevent us from driving our car every day to work or to where we have to. I understand this particular property was rented for nearly 4 years with an unknown person who was living there. So we try to be legitimate, to do everything the right way, and then bring about all this fear. What if the place was just rented to a known sex offender or to somebody ex-murderer? Nobody knows. We are coming open, licensed by the state of Arizona. We have licensed clinician psychiatrists that monitors. We are there 24 hours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listening to my neighbors, because you are my neighbors. If I invest my money in this Coolidge here, we are all neighbors. We don't have to be afraid. The people that we take into our home, I work there 24 hours. I work in the night. My wife works in the day. I have 2 more staffs. What we are taking are the ones that are a little lower. They are ready to go back and get a job. Ready to go back and take their kids to school. They're ready to go and drive the school bus. Those are the kind of people we are having here. I'm not going to lay down when I know somebody is afraid. I will not do that. We are taking in people that are ready to go into the society. They are out of the society for some reason, and they were clean, they were healed, and they're about to go back for community living. Those are the ones, because I want to make that clear. People are thinking, people are coming from level 1. No. Those who are already been treated, who are ready to go back to their jobs, job seeking, we cannot deny them access to a community. If you put those kind of people in a chain fence in, it triggers their inward, and they're going to be bad. So that's kind of people we are taking in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi again.
Hi.
We have another question.
Sure.
Can they tell us kind of a percentage or something? If this is like a go-between somewhere to this house to going home, where are they coming from? Are they coming from jail? Are they coming from mental hospitals? What is the worst case scenario or where they're leaving to get to this point? And I have another question, but I forgot. So I guess that's it.
It sounded like she was clear that she said they're not coming from any type of jail or prison or any type of...
Just a hospital?
And so let's get her back up. But I believe that's what I was clear when I asked her that question earlier.
Majority of our clients, members, I love to call them,
Okay.
that comes to our home, they are individual persons like you and I who may have some mental... A lot of people develop mental illness maybe from the traumatic loss of a loved one. They go into depression. People develop mental illness through an accident. A lot of reason can bring upon mental illness. We all have mental illness. There's just a fine line between us and the so-called them. A lot of people that come to us is after they have this, maybe they are not eating, maybe they are just at home and they are severely depressed, maybe they are trying to kill themselves, attempted suicide, so they get admitted in the hospital. These are people coming from all walks of life. I have a grandmother who was a lawyer all her life. I have someone who was a school bus driver, like my husband referred to. It's just working class people.
So are you saying then they have this traumatic incident, they become hospitalized and they're treated, and then once they're able to be released there, they then go to your facility
Yeah, for therapeutic training to...
before they go out into society and
And
whatever
a lot
their
of
walk of
a
life
lot
is.
of these people, some of them are born with mental illness too, and they are functioning. But this is what happened. Even when we are sick and we go to the doctor and they give us antibiotic, the doctor said make sure you take it even after you start feeling good.
Right.
A lot of them after feeling good stop taking
Correct.
medication.
So then just to be clear, they are not coming out of any type, they're not criminals, they're not coming out of a, I don't even know what you call it, any kind of
They
prison,
come to
jail,
us straight
or
from the
some-
hospital.
Yeah,
Hospital
they-
send them to us.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could I address Gilbert for a minute?
Sure, of course.
Gilbert, do we have copies of the CC&Rs?
Chairman Verdugo London,
Yes.
and Councilor Metcalf, we do not.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not required to have those. Because we don't enforce the CC&Rs of the subdivision.
Right. We don't enforce those.
Right.
Could we get the copy of the CC&Rs that he has so our attorneys could take a look at it? Because I think we're walking a fine line from what I heard.
Okay, so I'll need you to come to the podium. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Madam Chair, you would have to continue this for us to have a chance to get copies and then
what
get
I'm
to the
saying.
attorneys and.
I think that this, knowing what we heard in the CC&Rs, I think that we need to table this until we get a clarification from the attorneys so that we don't walk into a hole and pull the hole in after us.
Yeah, and that's you could do that. The attorneys are going to say we don't enforce CC&Rs, I would think, and then it's still up to you to make a decision whether this is the right place for it or not. Based on, you represent the community. Either side that doesn't like that determination, for or against, can appeal to the city council. So just so you know, that's the process. If that comes to that and somebody wants to take it up to them. So, that's I don't know if waiting for the attorneys, and that's, we can do that. If that's your pleasure and you want us to bring the attorney here at the next meeting, we can ask them to do that. It's and they can tell you basically that the city will not enforce CC&Rs. And I believe from what I know of CC&Rs, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not giving legal advice, but individuals within that community could enforce those. And if they're forming a group and
Correct. We have enough people here for a quorum.
then I mean that, and I don't know the logistics of how you do that. I can't tell you how to form a legitimate legitimate homeowner association, but
what I'm saying is I don't want the people that live in Landmark suing us because we vote on this tonight.
You're making
we're making a suggestion. We don't have any legal liability on this. We suggest to the city ultimately does what they want.
You're right to make a decision you feel comfortable with. That's your role. The city, as long as you don't go outside into anything illegal, which you're not crossing that line, you're making a determination. And like I said, there's an appeal process for this. So if there wasn't, and your decision was final, that would be different. But the council would be the actual final appellant, or the person, the group that would hear this, and they have attorneys there, of course, But like I said, if your pleasure is to table this and bring it forward next time while we bring the attorney, we can do that. We can ask them to, and it's up to you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm concerned, since these documents would travel in the title work, they have already purchased the house. That was their title research search done on the property. We're looking at being a liability too, because these are traveling with our property. And will it affect our ability to get homeowners insurance for whatever reason?
Again, you'd probably have to go
And where, it's
to
a
your
business.
agent with that.
It's a business in a residential neighborhood.
Right, and again, we are not obligated to enforce those CCNRs.
So we would get an attorney and
Yeah.
bring it up to
That,
this,
I
up
can't
to
give you
the
legal advice,
city,
but that was something that, but again, it
the
would
city
be,
attorney.
I don't know who you would go to, but it's something that, you've got those documents, maybe.
Correct.
I don't even know where you would start, but that is something that you
I
do on
do.
your end.
We will go further if we need to. But if we could resolve it now, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So my understanding is if you guys were to vote against, that it could be appealed to the city council. So basically, you guys are not the final say. You're just saying not right now, but the city council has the final approval as to say whether this goes into our community or not. And I mean, we have the CCNRs, and I understand that. I mean, those rules were put in place so that stuff like this wouldn't happen. And I guess, if we have these CCNRs and we live in this community, I mean, I own my home, everybody here owns their home. And obviously, we're trying to, go by those CCNRs and saying that this is a business and it should not be able to be run out of this home. And so, I mean, what do we have CCNRs for then if we can't use them, if we can't have them to defend what we're trying to do, basically? I mean, if it was in the CCNRs to say, yeah, we allow this to be in our community, then I guess we would have to allow it. But the CCNR state, like I read, that no businesses can be run out of this single family unit home. So, I mean, if the city's not going to defend the CCNRs, which obviously I understand that you guys can't, how come the city hasn't come up with these types of rules and regulations stating that the single family home units within Coolidge, Arizona should not be used for any type of business purposes?
Madam Chair, and yes, that's a good point. And we do have home occupation regulations. And the reason we have the conditional use process is just because of what you said. So the city's answer to that, while we can't enforce individuals' codes, covenants, and restrictions that people buy, I have some in my house in Hartford,
Yes, sir.
but we can create conditional uses where they have to come before a board, and the board hears both sides and decides whether or not it's appropriate. And of course, then you can, if the party that didn't win decides, well, I'm going to appeal it to the council, they have that right. So that's the process we have as government that falls within the legality of what governments can do, because we also have other laws that we have to really be careful of as cities. And so what we've established has been gone through the legal side of it, the courts, everything else, so that at the same time we can do our best to make sure neighborhoods exist in a very safe manner as much as possible for everybody. But also when things come up that maybe aren't allowed by right, then they can go through the conditional use permit process so the commission can hear, because all these commissioners care about the community enough where they were appointed by the city council.
Yes, sir.
Because they know they care about the community, so that's why they sit up here.
Yes.
So they're trying to make a decision. It's difficult. I've been in their chair before.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that you guys aren't concerned about our community. I understand that you have your concerns also, and that you just want to make sure that everything is basically seen and to make the correct decision, I guess. I'm not trying to say that you guys don't care. I'm just trying to say that, when we have CCNRs, they're basically, we put these into an effect as a community, and I guess to just kind of put them aside, and then why did we put them forward then if we're not going to follow them? So that's all I'm trying to say, and if we can't defend it, who's going to defend it for us then? If we're a community that can't defend our own CCNRs, then why did, so that's all I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to say that you guys do not care about our community. Obviously, I don't know your name, sir.
Gilbert Lopez.
Gilbert, Mr. Lopez. you guys were put into this position just for situations like this so that you guys could think about what the right decision is. I mean, obviously, we vote for the city council. We put them in there because we want them to make the right decisions. We want Coolidge to become a better community. And they put you guys in this position because they know, obviously, like Mr. Lopez said, that you guys do care about the community. So we're just asking that, you know, just like Joseph and Victoria here are being heard, that we also be heard. We're both being heard, that there would be a fair decision, basically, you know. And so I don't know if that's going to happen tonight, but I know that it's a lot of stuff for you guys to think about. So my concern is I already said my piece, but I also stand by those CCNRs. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question. So HOA is a legal entity. It's an incorporation. The CCRs govern the living conditions within that particular neighborhood. So when that corporation is dissolved, which apparently there's no HOA there now, do those CCRs bear weight? Because it's a civil issue. They'd have to seek legal counsel of their own volition to bring that forward, right? Since there's no longer, because I hate HOAs, by the way, because I live here. But I'm with my partner at the end down there. Do we need to defer to the legal minds to see how this works, essentially? Because I've incorporated businesses before, nonprofits, so I know if there's no legal entity, what teeth do those CCNRs have? And I feel for them because it's their neighborhood. I used to live there. I rented there before I purchased a house in town. So,
Excuse me.
what would that look like?
Excuse me.
Commissioner Duran, yeah, we could, the thing is with CCNRs, you know, they are, like you said, they are under a homeowner association created when a developer creates the subdivision. There are a few subdivisions in town that fall on, that don't have an active HOA. Doesn't mean one can't be recreated. Doesn't mean the individuals can't go get their own attorney and take action civilly, you know, on a neighbor that's doing something. Because we tell a lot of people a lot of times, like trees growing over fence lines, it's a civil issue. You have to take it to, you know, sometimes you can go to JP court and deal with it. A lot of times the city code does enforce portions that are just like what's in the CCNRs, like parking and trash and all that's under code enforcement. But certain business uses, you know, are allowed and some are not. So some, because they're could affect the neighborhood, are required to go through this process. But we, like you said, you could table it. We could get some legal advice, bring it back to you, send it to you for review. You know, so, but I know that the attorneys been in this business long enough are going to say it's again, we cannot enforce CCNRs, but what you have before you is a conditional use permit where you decide whether this is appropriate use in that neighborhood or not, and so make the ruling on that. You know, I mean, that's not. And I'm not Dennis Fitzgibbons, our lawyer, but I know I've been around it so much that I kind of know that, and I know how difficult it is to sit up there and try to make this decision. So I, you know, support all of you in what you do.
Thank you.
You would just like to say, just in the line of what he's saying, is that maybe they should get their own attorney to read into that, because when they read that, it say you cannot conduct business. And what that means that you cannot have a business that have traffic. But when people are living in a home, they call it their home, and it's a residential, and that is a law, a federal law that allows people to live where they want to without discrimination, whether of mental, sex, or anything. So this is why if they read their own rule that he just read here, he specifically say, I can't be repairing car, I can't be selling goods out of my home. But when people are living there in a community, it's permissible. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Vicki Wilkins. I live at 1414 7th Street in Landmark Ranch. I actually live on the street that's just east of Baldwin Loop. My husband and I bought our home there in December of 2011, and this is actually our winter home. We're snowbirds. And I do have a couple questions. The applicants have applied for a conditional use permit. if you do approve it, is it permanent? Is it written in stone, or can it be revoked in the future?
Director Lopez, would you like to answer that question about conditional use permits?
Madam Chair, thank you.
Yes.
The conditional use permit can be revoked if it's not adhered to or issues. What we would do as staff, if there were some issues, we would bring it back to the commission to review it. And if there were problems with the conditions that were set, that it has to follow, so it can be revoked. But it runs with the land it does run with the land, yeah. So if they decided to sell to another group home, they could. And that conditional use permit will go with that house. So it doesn't go with the applicant, it stays on that property. That's the way it's worked, and I think we brought that up before. So that's an important point that you brought up.
Okay. And my second question is, if this does get approved, despite everybody's concerns there, I forgot where I was going. Oh, it's going to set a precedence for establishing a business in a strictly residential area. We all like it there. It's like a little family neighborhood type thing, and it's quiet. Would it be easier for the next person to come in and create another residence like this?
Madam Chair, I don't believe that's the case, because unlike precedent in the court of law, where judges look back at what was done previously, this isn't how this operates. This is based on the merits of the individual applicant, where they may approve one in another neighborhood where the people don't have an issue. They may say maybe this neighborhood isn't the right one, and so they just approve it there. It's based on the merits and the public and the input that you receive everywhere. So they're not all the same. So there's separation issues and other legal portions that are set in. So somebody couldn't locate within 1,200 feet of this one if it passes. So there are distance separations from that. But as far as once you allow one to be put in, does that make it easier for the rest of them? I don't believe that's the case, because they each individually have to. The next one may say, no, we do take people from prisons. We take sex offenders. That's who we cater to. And the neighborhood says, we're a real big concern because we have so many children. That's different than what they're saying right now. So, not to say that once the conditional use is passed, I mean, the commission could probably take that and say, we passed this conditional use permit with these restrictions, but I'd have to run that by the attorney. I don't know if you could say it has to stay with women only, it has to, be this, and because you're actually approving a conditional use for a group home. So whatever is legal for that is gonna, they can change their mind. I mean, it's being honest. Yeah.
I just want to refer back to the CCNR, because in section 3.02 it does say no lot or detached dwelling unit shall be used, allowed to be used, or authorized to be used in any way, directly or indirectly, for any business, commercial use, manufacturing, industrial use, vending, or other similar purposes. However, declarant and or its agents, successors, or assigns may use the property for any of the foregoing use as may be required. It's any business. It's not stating like Amazon shipping business out of your. It's saying any business, any commercial business, any type of business within our neighborhood. It's stating that no single family unit home can do that. And this is a business. Koala Corporation is a business. And then my other question, or maybe not a question, is if you approve one group home, who's to say that another group home that maybe does something different, like a substance abuse group home or a sex offender group home? I know there was a case in AJ where they were trying to stop, I think it was and I'm just from news reports that I've seen, but if I remember correctly, I know it was like a group home for substance abuse people that were coming out of prison and being put into a neighborhood. Now, who's to say if we open up the door for one group, now you're going to have to think about letting another group come in?
Like Director Lopez just noted, he said that it's all individual, right? It's about the applicant, so it's not a precedent. Doesn't mean that if one gets passed, the other one will automatically get passed.
Oh,
There's so many things that are.
I totally understand.
Yeah, so it doesn't work in that way that you're setting the scenario.
Okay. So that's all I want to say. I'm just kind of going back to this.
Thank you.
And there's a 1,200-foot limit, right?
There is a
So-
1,200-foot separation
Yeah.
between group homes.
You can't have another one within 1,200 foot.
Would you guys like this?
We've all signed back the ones that are here and put our address.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We are not doing commercial business. It's residential for the needy people. If I have money, I can buy 5 homes as an investor, and I can rent it out. If they can rent it out, the people who bought the house from, somebody lived there, they rent it out. God knows how many houses the investors purchase in that area. And if we are not doing commercial, we are not doing industrial, it's residential, and we register the name of our corporation to obtain the license. But we are not doing construction in there, we are not doing fabrication or auto repair or auto painting, we are not doing Amazon or FedEx. It's residential, what is stated is what is being done, but it's for different kind of people. We are not manufacturing anything, people live there, they go grocery, they go to doctor's office and return back in safely. No sign outside, nothing, it's not a business. But we have to register to obtain the permit on the license name and the corporation name. Thank you.
Thank you. You need to come to the podium if you've got something to.
I could be wrong, but I'm getting the impression that the argument here is that this is a home, not a business. Are they doing it for free? Or are they getting paid to have these people come there? If they are, then it's a business. There's no way around that. So, to me, all of the discussion about, well, it's a nice residential home, is kind of irrelevant because they're getting paid. You know they are. And so this is a business, pure and clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these group homes are getting some type of money from the government for housing these individuals in the home. So it is a business. They're receiving payment to house that individual in the home. And as stated in the CCNRs, any type of business, whether you put up a sign or not, if you're saying that you're going to put 3 individuals in a home and you're going to be receiving money from the government as payment to house them, give them counseling, feed them, help them out with any type of counseling, take them to any type of appointments, and you're receiving payment for each individual, it's a business. Whether you have a sign there or not, it's still a business. So it's a business.
Would there be anyone else that would like to come to the podium?
I don't know if it makes a difference. I just wanted to clarify about the HOA. There was never an HOA. You guys were saying about it dissolving.
No, we don't know what happened. We don't know.
Was. I'm an original one, and there never was an HOA. Those CCNRs were there. That came with when we purchased.
And
So-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So as a purchaser, who enforces those if someone's out of compliance?
Well, this is the first, that we've had with this kind of issue.
So there's no issues with landscaping or any
Oh,
cars that are not parked properly with or people, I don't know, fixing cars or broke down cars in front of their yards, those kind of things. And so no one enforces that in your neighborhood at this point?
the city
So you look to the city to help you enforce
to
those?
help enforce.
Got it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the city enforces
City
violations of the city zoning code within there. There is no HOA. There never was. That's the reason why a lot of people bought there. CCRs are binding to each lot. You signed, you agreed to them, but it's not the city's position to enforce those. It's a civil matter.
Correct.
Between people who live there.
So is there a board there now of any kind?
There is no board, no HOA. When you buy your house, you agree to the CCNRs that come with it. If you have an issue with a CCNR violation, it is up to you and or your legal counsel to seek a resolution to that.
Right. So I think we've been very clear. I mean, I don't know if
We deal with the city zoning code.
yeah, right. So we're dealing with the city code, right? That's what we're doing. The CCRs are enforced by either the HOA or if you hire legal counsel, and it's a civil matter. Just to be clear, I think Director has said that now. Mr. Hansen has said that. So I just want you to understand that that's what they're saying. Yes, sir.
So if I understand right, you do not want a copy of the CCNRs and all of the signatures here on the back of people who do not want this? And if that's the case, I'm wondering why you don't want it.
I don't.
We can
know-
accept them for the record.
Yeah, if they could accept it for us. I don't know that anyone said that we didn't want them.
Oh, okay. Well, that was the impression we all had.
Oh, I'm
so-
sorry. I'm not sure how you got that impression, but you can give it to Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else before I close the public portion of this hearing? All right, seeing that no one else is approaching, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing portion. Is there any further discussion on the commission? No further discussion? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I motion to approve Cool PZ 1808-28 as presented with the amendments discussed.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? I don't hear a second.
Madam Chair, motion dies for lack of a second, then somebody else can make a different motion.
Okay. I'd entertain another motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny Cool PZ 1808-28.
I second the motion.
All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of denying the approval, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor to to approve the motion, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Sounds like the motion passed.
Madam Chair, it was 3-2 to deny.
Okay.
Passed.
Okay. Motion denied. There are any reports from the chairman?
Madam Chair, Commission members, just give you the latest updates on Nikola, the big hydrogen electric semi factory, million square feet. It's coming to us in the southern part of the city. We've been working on the foreign trade zone designation for them and FTZ 75, and we were at Pinal County today and got their approval.
Oh, awesome.
And so it's the last of all the ones we have to get. We have all the taxing authorities done. And then, so what we're doing now is we'll prepare to go to the city of Phoenix and work with them to submit their application, their attorneys and everything. And it's going forward. So far, so good.
Terrific.
Everything's working out the way it's supposed to. And we have other applicants out there for the big properties that are, I should say, big employers, big properties, big buildings that are coming to us and talking to us regularly, seems like, on the rest of that property down there, all the industrial. So I just want to give you an update. That's really good. Our home builders are building. Brown Homes, Journey Wade is vertical. We have another one that's going to start pretty quick, so everything's moving forward.
Super.
Thank you. That's all we have.
Thank you. All right, this is an open forum. If anyone would like to come to the podium and express your ideas in less than 5 minutes, please do so. All right, no one's coming to the podium. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair.
If I understand correctly, the motion is to deny our application?
Yes.
Do you want to answer?
Your question? Yeah, the motion is to deny your application.
What is the appeal process?
You'd have to file an appeal and go to the city council.
Okay.
And so you can call us, Tim, and then we can
Okay.
give you the forms for that. Okay?
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
So I know we're done voting and everything like that, and since the gentleman brought it up, what's your name, sir? I'm sorry. Adam. I'm a law enforcement officer in the city of Casa Grande. I voted no because we had a turnout. I believe that's what you want. But I will tell you that sex offender in your neighborhood is more of a problem and safe for your children than those folks right there with those folks.
Well, I totally understand.
I don't know that you do understand.
I totally understand.
Oh, we probably
But,
don't.
can't have
We
this,
probably don't
though.
have it. You
We-
can't have
we
dialogue
can't have
there.
this
I'm sorry.
dialogue right
I
now.
apologize if I
Okay,
misspoke.
that's okay.
You can comment, you just can't have a
Yeah,
discussion.
we can't have
I can't go
sir,
back and forth.
After the meeting's closed.
Adam,
Okay.
we can't have a
Yeah,
discussion.
because we'd have to get it
We already closed
agendized.
the
Okay.
public.
Yeah.
We're
I
closed.
apologize. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, we're closed. We're done. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
move we adjourn.
I second that.
It'll be
All
published.
those in favor?
And
Aye.
yeah.
Awesome.